Y'all, it has been a minute since I've made a mock draft. Was sick, haven't been able to find the time between that. I didn't have a voice for nearly like 2 weeks. Between that and work, just things getting in the way, kind of fallen off on this channel in terms of getting out this draft content. So I really got to ramp it up now because I got to make sure I did out all these mock drafts before the 27th, when round one of the 2023 NFL draft kicks off. What I didn't take into consideration when I started doing this exercise is trades that could take place the night or before the draft, before draft night when teams move up. The Carolina Panthers really shaking up the board, going from 9-1, and that is the team that we are on as Carolina, because I was assuming that they were going to be sitting at 9. So I had already done a mock draft for Chicago when they were at 1. I haven't done one for Carolina yet. So even though Carolina has moved to 1, we're basically at the 9th spot. So this is the 9th mock draft we've done, 4-round mock draft for the Carolina Panthers. Without further ado, I will share my screen and we will jump into it. And I want that to be the bigger screen. Why is it not? There we go. All right. I got pick 1. I control this. This is an interesting thing. When you go from 9-1, you give up the type of draft capital and DJ Moore that they did. Are they swinging for the fence here? I mean, impatient, obviously, in terms of finding the next franchise quarterback. I think David Tepper was just like, we got to get this done. Frank Reich in town now. Josh McCown's there as the quarterback's coach. Do they know at this point in time who the guy is that they moved up for? They just want to get to 1 and then figure it out. What if they like a few guys? Is a move down possible? Still, so many things to talk about here. But for me, assuming they stick and pick, it is just hard for me to fathom when you look at the history of Frank Reich, his quarterback history, that they're going to bet on the outlier of Bryce Young. Bryce Young is my number 1 quarterback in this class. I think, especially with the way that the game is played today, when you look at Carolina's offensive line, they're good. They're very good. That's a strong unit. I think that they can protect him and support Bryce Young in today's NFL and let him just be the playmaker that he is back there. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I think that the betting sites have it right, and it's CJ Stroud at 1. I really like CJ Stroud. I think that when you just talk about like what he can do inside the pocket when it's a clean pocket, he's been making NFL throws for a long time. He's one of the best pure passers I think that we've seen come out in a while. But you look at, other than that Georgia game, which was a little bit of an outlier, what happens when you do get pressure in his face and when you make him, move outside of the pocket, make him use his legs. He wasn't really willing to do that. So is that Georgia game more indicative of the player that you are getting at the next level, or was that an outlier? And I think that's the question that, people are going to be asking themselves. But again, getting back to the offensive line here, if they can keep CJ Stroud clean, I think that's a very good pick. So I think this is certainly, like, both these guys to me are franchise quarterbacks you can build around. I think because of, not wanting to bet on a historical outlier, the size of CJ Stroud, the pinpoint passing, I think that's the direction that they go personally. Will Levis, you are an Indianapolis Colt. Anthony Richardson to the Lions. It's also interesting, like, just throughout this to see, how things have changed since the first one that I've done. Jordan Addison to the Steelers at 17. Oof. Nolan Smith all the way down to 26. Love that value. Okay, and here we are at 39. To me, this is just going to be about getting a pass catcher in town for Carolina, in my opinion. We should have gone through the team needs, I think, before we started, but we can do that now. When you look at them, they list quarterback, edge, tight end, receiver. Yeah, I mean, obviously we got our franchise quarterback now, so get pass catchers and then some edge help potentially. So between those two spots, Dalton Kincaid to me is the best pass catcher in this class. Like, throw away the position, tight end or receiver. One, I think he's more of a receiver than a tight end anyway. Like, you want to line him up in the slot. Utah would even, like, throw him outside on the boundary. Tight end screens they would give him. He can work in line, but he's much better, just be utilized as a pass catcher. And I think he's the best one in this class. So I'd be looking at him. Darnell Washington could make sense. But I think if you're going that way, Dalton Kincaid is probably the direction they go. Ade Adebaware, fantastic player. Felix Anadike Uzoma could make sense. Will McDonald probably, to me, I think goes round one. Luke Musgrave, another tight end that could make some sense here. Let's just end the conversation though. I've talked about him so much. I actually have a video just on him on the channel too. Dalton Kincaid, again, like I just think what he does when the ball is in his hands is special. I think he's the best pass catcher in this class. I think he's the best tight end in space in this class. I'm not comparing him as a player to Travis Kelce, but when the ball is in his hands, there's a lot of like Travis Kelce-esque movements in terms of what he's able to do yak wise. So to me, Dalton Kincaid, well worth this selection for Carolina. And that's a fantastic weapon for CJ Stroud. So we're really fixing this Carolina Panthers offense just within those first two picks. Man, Will McDonald going all the way at 50. Ooh. You know, Carolina making that trade, though, the lack of ammo doesn't make for a very fun mock draft, does it? By the way, I don't know why I'm looking at that like I can do it. I've taken no trades as I've gone through this. Um, it's just been stick and pick just for the sake of the draft. I mean, it's just too hard to predict what teams are going to do. So for the sake of that, I've just been sticking and picking throughout these. Obviously, there are going to be situations where I would move, but not the case here. Man, this is a tough spot for me, especially when you look at the board. I mean, at this spot, like the interior offensive line is really good at this point. Jatavius Martin's a really good player, in my opinion. I think he's probably going to be a slot, like a nickel guy at the next level in that position. There's a lot of debate about that. I think it's really never been more valuable, especially with the way that teams utilize slot receivers. Uh, you know, every set at this point in the NFL seems to have three receivers on the field, if not four. So, um, I don't love personally like the edges that are left. Jair Brown's a really good player to me. Hodges Tomlinson obviously going to be relegated to the slot. Um, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Jartavius Martin out of Illinois. I think when you look at Illinois, like obviously all the talk is going to be about Devin Witherspoon. But when watching Witherspoon, I think that your eyes are going to start to float and you're going to all of a sudden be watching Martin too. Really good player in his own right. I don't think deserves to be overshadowed. To me, I have no qualms if he goes in on early on day two. He's going to go on day two. But if he goes, in round two, really no qualms about him. I really like the fit here. Carolina, obviously, really good defense, but they still need improvement, in my opinion, within that secondary. They've hit, on the likes of Jeremy Chin last year with Horn. But I think there's still room for improvement there. Dante Jackson's a decent player. But yeah, especially like with Martin, I think he's got some versatility to him. And I think, like I said, probably best suited to be like in that nickel. So it'll be interesting to see how he's utilized at the next level, but I really like the player. Houston going quarterback again. That little RG3 Kirk Cousins type draft. All right, here we are at pick 114. No trade offers this time. I mean, they gave Miles Sanders decent money. I would love to take Izzy Abanikanda here for them. I mean, running back is really what's best on the board here. Man, there's just not. There hasn't been an edge that's fallen that I liked in that spot. I mean, to me, at this point, I'm probably waiting until day 3 for Byron Young or Baldonado over. Oh, I really like Yaya too. I actually like both the edges at Louisville quite a bit. Um, yeah, I can't do that. I don't think the value's here to go there right now. I'm gonna do another pass catcher. I'm gonna go with a bigger slot in Jonathan Mingo. I really like the size. I think that he's best suited to be in the slot, kind of like that mismatch option. Over 6 foot, 220 pounds. Um, really good hands. I think there's still some, route stuff. He runs a decent enough route tree, but I think there's still some stuff to clean up on tape within that. But I think at the next level, especially here where it's just we're putting together offensive pieces to kind of all grow together. You got CJ Stroud, excuse me. You got CJ Stroud obviously first overall. We came back, to a falling Dalton Kincaid at 39, in my opinion. That's a first round player. And then here to get Jonathan Mingo, I think we're building something on Carolina's offense here. They obviously, Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark as well. I think they've had a nice little off season, at least for the short term, and like building it around CJ Stroud here early in his career. Jonathan Mingo, get another pass catcher in there, can kind of succeed. Like Thielen probably does his best work at this point in his career in the slot too, but you got a succession plan there as well. Not getting any younger. That probably wraps it up, right? No, we got another pick here, 132. Okay, now at this point, still I don't. You know what's interesting about doing these two is like I don't in my head know how this is going to play out. Like in real time, you guys are seeing me make these decisions. You know what? We're going to go with Andrew Voorhees, who we know isn't going to play. Obviously, terrible that he suffered that injury that he did at the combine. It obviously sparked a huge debate in terms of the drills and how stupid they are and stuff like that. But probably he's a top 100 pick if that injury doesn't happen. You know that he's not going to get on the field in year one. But, I think that he's worth the investment at this point. Somebody to sit redshirt a year, basically. I like him. I know that he's a pretty polarizing player. It seems like everybody either loves or hates him. I guess I'm in the minority where I'm not like too far on either side of the spectrum here, but I think good value at this point in terms of what was provided on tape. Obviously, the injury going to hurt his stock a little bit, but I think at this point, worth the investment. All right, so there it is. CJ Stroud, Dalton Kincaid, Jartavius Martin, Jonathan Mingo, and Andrew Voorhees. 5 picks within the first 4 rounds for the Carolina Panthers. You guys can let me know how you feel about it, whether you're a Carolina Panthers fan or not. And give me some feedback on how you feel about the picks, what you would have done differently in each spot. Again, this is done in real time, so you guys can see the decisions that I've made and where you would have gone differently. Or, if you like the picks, let me know that too. Very rarely do I get like positive feedback like, oh yeah, great job. I would have done everything the exact same way. So let me know how you feel about it in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Until then, make sure you're subscribed, like the channel, hit that notification bell, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.